So welcome to MyJoogTV. We pair our favorite musicians with makers of wines, beers, spirits. Basically, if you can ferment it, we love to talk about it. And today we're filming from the middle of the state of Maryland, just outside of Mount Airy at Black Ankle Vineyards. And yes, to my good friends in Virginia, they do make some fine wines in Maryland, and Black Ankle is one of the leading causes of that trend. And we're very pleased to have one of the co-owners, Ed Boyce, with us. So thank you, Ed. And Ed's actually taking time off from doing some pressing today. And at the end of the week, they host a Friday night Fireside Fridays concert series where they bring in local musicians. And tonight's performer is Uncle Dave Hoover. So thank you, Uncle Dave.
You're welcome.
And so Ed, we'll start with you. Black Ankle is a relatively new winery.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about why you decided to build a winery and why specifically this area.
My wife and I have done this all together since we started, and we both love wine. And it's sort of a hobby gone out of control, I guess. And we were looking for something else to do with our lives, and hit on the idea of wine. We weren't sure we could make great wine here in Maryland because this is where we're based, and our family's here, our kids are here, so we decided we were going to try to stay here, and we went around the world: New Zealand, France, Italy, Australia, Chile, California, up and down the East Coast, talking to wineries and vineyards everywhere, and trying to discover what you need to do to make great wine. And finally we decided, you know what, Maryland probably has what it takes. So spent a year looking for a site, because one thing we learned in our travels is soil is really, really important. We found, after looking at over 100 farms, we found one we thought had the right soils for what we're doing, and here we are. That was 2001, and now we are in 2010.
Wow. So what I found really impressive is right from the get-go, right out of the gate, you guys are making very impressive wines, and they've only gotten better for the 2-3 years that you've had vintages here. You got 2 Governor's Cup. You have many awards from your other wines. This spring at the Drink Local Wine Conference in Leesburg, Kevin Addicks brought some of your wine down, and all the fellow wine writers and bloggers, were raving about your wines. And
Thank you.
So what do you think really helped you to say, out of the box, we're going to make impressive wines?
I think we started with that idea in mind. We did a lot of research to find out how to do it. So it starts with, as I said, looking for the right site. We have vines are a strange creature. They if you put them in a great soil that can grow lots of corn, you get a huge vine, very few grapes, and they won't get very ripe. If you put them in a soil that's got no nutrition in it, that doesn't hold much water, that's droughty, it's awful, on a slope with lots of rock, you get tiny little vines, but they create lots of grapes and they get really ripe. The idea is you sort of convince them that they might not survive, so they better put their effort into their children and create as many as they can. So it starts with that.
Yeah. Well, the unique area about this site is when you're driving in, it's all woods. I mean, did you actually take aerial views of the area and say, where are the parcels? Because when you're driving in, you just see woods, and then all of a sudden it opens up to this beautiful vineyard behind us.
No, we didn't. We didn't do anything aerial. We had maps of the area, and we looked at different farms, but no, really, it was a process of looking at a lot of different places and getting some clues about what kind of soil could be there, and then talking to the local farmers who know how much fertilizer you need and to really grow something, and then finding this place.
Now, I also noticed just outside here you have cattle grazing. Is that part of the
your cattle?
It is. Those are our cows. We subscribe to something called biodynamics. It's long to go into. We are not certified biodynamic because there are 1 or 2 problems we haven't figured out how to do, but it's sort of it's the forerunner of organics, actually. It's where organics came from. But part of it is you try to use what you have. Try to make your farm a closed system if you can. And so our cows, we have a herd of, I think it's 9 or 10 right now, beef cattle. We take their manure, we compost that, we spread that onto the vines. It's another way of bringing our fertility from here it's also the reason that this tasting room is what it is. It's all built from materials on this farm. We said, well, if we're going to build a building, we're going to try to use what we have and not bring things in the building.
And that was interesting because we were just talking about earlier. What we're sitting on is actually bales of hay.
Yes.
So that's pretty interesting.
Awesome.
Plastered with dirt.
And and actually the whole biodynamics. If you want to learn more, Paul Dolan is probably one of the biggest experts. So you can find his website out in California. I think he's in Mendocino. So Uncle Dave, one thing that I found impressive with you when I first heard you play about a year ago, and I go listen to you, and here's a young guy playing not only acoustic blues, but acoustic blues of 50 to 60 years ago. I mean, just something I was expecting somebody much older to be playing.
Right.
And I was very impressed and surprised to see somebody so young playing that. So how did you get into first the blues, and then how did you? I was going to say regress, but just go work your way backwards to the actual original artist.
Right. Well, that's I've gotten that question quite a bit, and I don't have any real definitive answer. I mean, the path that I followed. I'm a big fan of roots music. I enjoy listening to it, and getting into like Bob Dylan and listening to his influences.
So you listen to her earlier work, and then you go
right, and just keep going back. But even Dylan was a little bit old for me. And I think it was just I like the songwriting, and I like that era of songwriting, and then just going back into the influences of those 1960s folk performers, and that was an interesting time in American music, the 60s, with the folk revival and all that.
And finding these old blues musicians where they finally were able to find and bring them back and start playing at the Newport festivals, and Newport Folk Festival.
Right. And going, and just having that like authentic sound. I mean, I don't like. I do my best when it comes to blues, and I have kind of my own twist on the acoustic blues, but I do enjoy, that's what I enjoy listening to.
Yeah. So it was really a surprise for me. I go in, I think the first song I heard you play was Lead Belly, and then it was followed by probably a Dylan, and probably a Mississippi John Hurt, and I was just like, wow, it's nice to see that these classic songs, were still being revived from, the young. But so I consider you a younger generation, but what about your contemporaries? Do you find that it's hard passing that music on to them, or do you actually have to play? Obviously tonight it'll be an older crowd. But do you find yourself more playing for an older crowd?
On occasion, But I think that the music has kind of opened up in a lot of ways with the internet, and that I think it's more like a niche kind of thing now, where everyone has their own kind of style that they're going for, as opposed to what is popular at the time. So, because pop music has kind of separated itself from the rest of the indie music scene, and all that stuff. And there's a lot of artists out there, doing what they like to do. So
you can say there's starting to be more of the younger audience are starting to enjoy the blues.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, I would think so. Yeah, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, there's, like I said, there's a lot of different tastes out there of different music. So I can't guarantee anything.
And also there's a lot of different tastes in wine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What I really find interesting with Black Ankle is,